knows that, okay, I am Anthony Davis. I should be doing more.
Of course.
You know,
Defensively is normal on his day. He's top three defensively.
Are you sure?
100%. No, like on his
on his
day.
day.
On his day.
On his
On
day.
his day. Maybe we'll give it to him.
Great to have you on today's episode of Matchview Sports, where we'll be bringing you diverse analysis on sporting activities across the globe. My name is Kadri Moshood Oladapo, and with me in the studio today, I've got two great guys, and it will be very difficult for you to differentiate them when you see them eventually. And I've got Taiwo and Kehinde Olatuja.
Yeah.
Olatuja. So it's good to have you guys finally in the studio with me today.
Yes, feels good. Myself and my twin, we are excited to be on this show. And I mean, I can tell you that my twin is feeling the same way.
Absolutely. It's our debut, and we're ready to go.
And today we'll be talking about the topic that says, do big name trade still impact a team's chances of winning an NBA championship over the years?
Yeah.
To say that when you bring Magic, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan,
Yeah, the OGs, yeah.
definitely you are gonna win something at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But these days we've got Paul George,
Yeah.
we've got Kawhi,
Kawhi.
and
The beard, yeah.
and at the end of the day, you don't tip these guys as contenders to win the NBA championship. So what has changed over the years, Taiwo?
So yes, for me, I think the one thing that changed is the players having that championship mentality. Look at the names that you listed. Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Magic. Those guys are like champions. They've got the mentality, not just the hand play, not just the talent. They've got the will and the zeal to go all out to get to win championships. Let's just move back a little bit. When Brooklyn Nets acquired Kevin Durant, they also had Kyrie Irving. They also had the Birdman James Harden, who was a one-time MVP. It didn't work out. Why? Because when you look at that team, the only guy that you would pick out that you can say he got that championship mentality is Kevin Durant. And when they played the playoffs versus Milwaukee Bucks, it was only Kevin Durant. He was the only one that looked like, okay, I won this championship. I want to go as far as not just the Western playoffs, but also the Eastern playoffs, but the NBA finals. So I think what has changed is the players having that championship mentality. Yes, they get traded because of they've been a one-time MVP and all of that, but it's not just that. It doesn't just end with being a one-time MVP. It's all about the zeal, the mentality. That you can play basketball, but do you have when push comes to shove, when you get to face the likes of the Golden State Warriors, can you go and beat them, and turn up every night? So I think for me that's one thing I can actually pick out. And the second thing I can pick out is having a roster that can actually sync with them. So it's not about having the star-studded roster. It's all about having the players that fit in. Like the Brooklyn Nets the other time, they had Kyrie Irving, they had James Harden, they also have got Kevin Durant. How many of them can play proper defense? None of them can play proper defense, and the other two players that balance the matchup, the roster, nobody could actually play defense, and that was what cost them the championships when they played the Milwaukee Bucks. So it's having a good team, a good roster that can match up with the talent, and not just the talent actually, can match up with the the good players that you have in the team, and also get the players that can have very proper championship mentality.
Kenny, in recent years, we've seen where it worked. In 2015, we saw the dynasty created by the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
And we could tell that, they brought in the likes of Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson,
They had Green.
as well as Steph Curry.
Curry.
It worked. It clicked big time. So, which gave a lot of big teams that insight.
Okay.
Maybe this is actually the way to
best way to do it.
And I'll take you back to the Oklahoma City Thunders.
Yeah.
They had James Harden, they had Kevin Durant,
Westbrook.
Yeah. They also had guys like Serge Ibaka. But what changed at that time?
Okay, I'll say in comparison to that time and now, can I permit me to use the word the competition is fierce now? Yes, I mean with the Golden State, you mentioned 2015 years where they had these guys. At that time, I would say it felt like Golden State were this high.
Like a level up.
Golden State was like levels ahead of the other teams, the other franchise. But when you look at now, you see teams like Denver Nuggets, you see teams like Dallas Maverick, you see teams, these guys, Milwaukee Bucks too, they're there, and you'll be like, okay, if you like have the star players, it still might not work. So yes, it worked for the Golden State at that time, but now the competition is fierce because you look at that same Golden State. Just take out Kelvin Durant. They still have the likes of Draymond Green,
Clay.
Corey. Clay is still there, and they could not even do anything, since 2 years ago. So for me, I would say the competition is fierce now, and because when you look at the likes of Denver, okay, please, apart from Jokic and Jamal
Murray.
no, that you won't call that franchise. You won't say the star
studded,
studded, and it worked last year. Dallas Maverick. I mean, they go to the finals. Yeah, sad one they lost, but yes, take out what's it called? Doncic, Kyrie. And you look at teams like Los Angeles Clippers. With Paul George, Kawhi, and the likes, it did not work out. So for me, the competition is fierce. Yes.
Looking at 2021, the likes of
Milwaukee Bucks
went ahead to win the championship.
Yeah.
They had Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Chris Middleton,
Drew Holiday.
and I mean, you can only talk about when you're talking about A-list player back then in that squad until this moment.
Giannis. Yeah.
Talk about Giannis. Now, would you rather say that having Drew and
Chris
is not a big three kind of setup for the franchise?
So right now, and they've traded a Drew Holiday to Celtics, and it looks like Damian Lillard was the one to come in and balance up that thing. But I would say for Milwaukee Bucks, right, what they had in 2021 was a better team compared to what they have now, because with Drew Holiday, he's an elite defender. Like definitely in the NBA right now, if you're gonna list out 5, 6, 7, it will make that cut. And it was Chris Middleton who was in his prime that year. He played injury free.
Right.
Immediately they won their first title, he started having injury problems, and they've also had Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was arguably the best basketball player at that time, and not just for that time, he went for like 2, 3
Giannis was
years,
LD too.
and he was LD. So for me, I would say Milwaukee Bucks at that time, they had a very good team. You touched on Brooks. Lopez is a proper guy. He's a guy that he doesn't need the spotlights, but the work he does in the team, clean up the paint, defensively and offensively was top level. There was Drew Holiday, top elite defender. There was Chris Middleton, good scorer, probably not an elite like the likes of Curry and so, but he was good. And there was the Greek freak Giannis, who is an elite defender also, and offensive, monster. So the thing is, now they've kind of like changed. They've switched from that. I think it started when they fired the manager, Mike Budenholzer. I think it was a wrong move, to take out the manager. They brought in 2 guys that haven't really done well. The first one was the black guy. It didn't work out. I think for me it was just a way of having a black coach, just to test run before they brought in the Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers, trying to say he's an OG, he's a legend, but he doesn't really have that championship mentality. When he gets to winning the title, he flops.
I mean, talking about the Rivers right now,
Yeah.
he's won the championship.
Yeah, as a player.
No,
Oh my,
coach.
that's once.
Yeah, once.
So,
So
but-
talking about
Yeah.
championship mentality,
Yeah.
we can't write him off.
No.
It's only when he hasn't won it before.
Yeah, no, we can't write him off. But when you compare the times that he's failed as a manager in terms of getting to the finish line, it's more times than he won the championship. I feel like for Milwaukee Bucks, going for that type of manager was a wrong move because his record prior to getting that move was poor.
Now speaking about Damian Lillard. Now this is why I still think the Milwaukee could have just stuck with Drew Holiday, because when you mention Drew Holiday's defensive abilities, he's also a good shooter. All right, so I can't compare him with
Much more
Damian.
better.
No, of course, it's
Much
not.
more better than Drew Holiday, right?
Damian is more better
Yeah,
than
of
Drew,
course, yeah.
like for the 3-point and all of that. But yeah, Drew Holiday
Defensively.
edges out defensively,
Yeah.
and Drew Holiday can still shoot. So that's that's like 2 incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Damian could just do the 3-point, and not every time the 3-point works.
So the thing is, for me, right, especially in basketball, where it's not like crowded like football, where you have 11 players in each team. It's just about 5-5. You need a team that can gel, right? If you have a shooter, You have a defensive monster. You have someone that can do like that can guard, a very good player that can guard. You know, when we look at that Milwaukee Bucks 2021 championship team, they had all of that pieces in that
It
team.
was a complete.
It was a
Yeah,
complete.
it was a complete team.
Chris Middleton,
Skills of this world,
Yeah.
the backup guys.
backup, and
They even have a good six man at that time.
yes, they had a good six man.
Yes.
So, but when they now acquired Damian Lillard, to me, it felt like they wanted to win a championship, and they felt that Giannis Antetokounmpo needed a star partner.
You know, Giannis was saying it everywhere that he wants to win.
He wants to win.
Team that would win the championship again.
Yeah.
Because it felt like at that point, Chris
Yeah.
never get better,
Better.
because of injury.
Injuries, yeah,
And the workload on Drew was just too much.
it was too much. I get that.
So he was letting them know, hey, if you want to win the championship again, you need to go all out in that market and trade for an A-list player. And they felt like maybe it's high time for them to, trade for Damian.
Jamie hasn't won the championship.
Was that a bad trade to you?
At the judgment of taking out Drew Holiday, to me, it was a bad trade.
So they could have, but there was no way they would have Damian and Drew in the same team.
Of course, now.
So one had to
They had to sacrifice Drew.
sacrifice Drew, which at the moment it feels like a terrible decision. But what if next year it might work?
Because
Right.
next year it might work. And I mean, what is it with Phoenix Suns these days? Still sticking with the big three. Because left to me, I feel it's not working. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal,
Bradley Beal.
Kevin Durant. This time around, I feel this is their last dance.
Yeah.
And
As a three.
if it doesn't work, I want to believe that someone like KD wants to put in 4 free agency next season.
So the thing with Phoenix Suns, I would say I'm disappointed. Yeah, because I liked when they had Dave Booker, when they had Kevin Durant and CP3 at that time. I feel like that big three was so
They
good.
go to the final.
They got to
They got
finals,
to
yeah.
the finals, and then why did they fire what's it called Monty Williams? Yes, I feel like Monty Williams could have still stayed on. And I feel like he understands the franchise and the like, but maybe they wanted to move on, from Monty Williams, and here they are now. Even with the Devin Booker is for me, yeah, is a very good basketball player. I mean I love him, but I'm always sad when I look at that franchise, and now they brought in Bradley, and it still hasn't worked out. And the question is now, is it the players or the coach? Now you took out the coach, but hey, Phoenix Suns are still where they are.
So, Kenny.
Yeah, Tyler.
So, I mean, going by that team,
Alright.
it should be, the poster boy for
Alright.
each team.
Alright.
We know no matter how big Damian Lillard is,
Yeah.
he can never be the poster person
At
for.
the box, no,
You know,
definitely not.
But right there in Phoenix, I mean, you've got Devin Booker.
Yeah.
He's been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
And he's, shown his quality.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now you brought the likes of Bradley Beal.
Bradley
Beal, we can say that maybe he's not at that
level.
of KD.
Definitely not.
But having KD in that team, who do you think should be the poster boy?
Definitely, it's Dev Booker. Not to disrespect KD.
Okay.
So when KD moved into the Phoenix Suns, he said in one of his press, he said, "I love watching Dev Booker, and it's time to help him win a championship." You understand? There are some franchises that you go to, not for what you have or what you've won in the past, but for what you can do and actually help. I mean, one of the best players in the franchise. At Phoenix Suns, Dev Booker is fans' favorite.
Absolutely.
When KD came in, he's got the OG, he's got the championship 2, MVPs, and all of that. But he said I want to help this guy. You understand? I want to help this guy. Let me just digress. Permit me to digress a little bit. Dallas Mavericks, when Kyrie went there, Kyrie will never be the poster boy
No,
because of Doncic, right? And if you think about 3 years ago, the level that Devin Booker was playing at was actually really high. Very high. So there was no way you would bring in a player that would, like, in the caliber of Kevin Durant, how humble he is, and how amazing he is, to now take the spotlight. What you can do is to help. Why are we crying out?
Durant should help.
That's what he has always done. Even if he scores 36 every night, he's always trying to help Dev Booker because Dev Booker is younger, and Dev Booker still has more years to play. You understand?
Let's use this theory.
Yeah.
So, looking at the LA Lakers, Are you going to say Anthony Davis
Yeah.
is more influential than LeBron James in this team?
Because can I tell you something? This previous one, the previous NBA, the regular NBA season, Anthony Davis was more influential than LeBron James. But who takes the credit is LeBron James overall. I'm talking about this last season, the previous one, right? Let me say something. The NBA Cup, the inaugural NBA Cup that was played, the MVP was AD from eye tests, scoring points. He set a record, I think 35 points, 10 rebounds, and I think 10 steals, a record ever. Like, it's a record. Who won the MVP? LeBron James, because of what he is LeBron James. He was a better player. He played 72 games. AD hasn't played that much in his career.
I mean, we will never stay fit at the end of the day.
It was
It was
fit.
sick last season.
And
I mean,
he turned up.
I'll be honest here. I used to be a little bit critical when
Yeah.
it comes to AD because I'm like, I feel like this guy's talented.
He was number one pick.
He's a big
in
man.
2012.
2012 was number one pick.
course, yeah.
So I had high hopes for AD, and there was a time, of course, the bubble championship
Yeah.
made sense. Then afterwards, when the likes of what's it called, what's the name of this guy in Philadelphia, this Cameroonian guy.
Joel Embiid.
Oh, Embiid.
Embiid. When I'm looking at the likes of Embiid, I'm looking at the likes of Giannis. In my mind, I'm like, because I'm a Lakers.
be in that
Yes.
same
In my mind, I'm
category.
like, nah, AD is super talented, and I remember me and my twin having discussions about AD, and I was critical. But last season, I must say AD did well for himself.
He was
In terms
super
of,
consistent.
staying healthy. I mean, I would see AD in some games. He's injured and he still wants to get back. So he knows that he's got a lot of bashing from the fans. He knows that, okay, I am Anthony Davis. I should be doing more.
Of course.
And
Defensively, is normal on his day. He's top 3. Defensively.
Are you sure?
100%. No, like on his
On his
day.
day.
On his day.
On his
On
day.
his day. Maybe we'll give it to him.
On his day, he's top 3.
But yeah, he's highly rated. And I feel like now the question with LeBron and AD is, have they done well together?
I think, when you win a championship,
Championship, they
no
won.
matter how we call it, bubble or Wembley, whatever, if you win a championship, you've done
But
well.
now
It's what?
it's
worked.
Yes. But now the question is, they need to stop Boston Celtics.
Have you seen them?
So
They're going next season. I feel like maybe at that point when Minnesota, took out Denver at that point, if Denver had progressed,
they'll be unstoppable, right?
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think
So
it's
I think that matchup, right, was one that I think even the Denver Nuggets would have prayed to avoid because with Minnesota Timberwolves, they've got guys Anthony Edwards, the 2021 first pick.
course, yeah.
They've got KT and Gobert, full-time defensive player of the year. It was a clear matchup
Okay.
that would definitely go toe to toe, head to head with Denver Nugget. If Denver Nugget had gotten probably maybe a different team at that time, they would get to the finals.
And when they get to the finals, they'll stop.
But you saw Minnesota fumbled it versus Dallas Mavericks, right? So, but that matchup with Denver Nuggets was one that Minnesota Timberwolves were ready, and it was good enough.
I mean, let's go back to OKC.
All right.
Look at those guys.
Yeah.
Chet,
Chet.
Jalen Williams,
Yeah.
Shea Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah. What a player.
George Giddy was there last
Yes.
season.
Yeah.
But
He's been traded
right,
to Chicago.
to Chicago.
Young,
How far do you think they can go next season?
Okay.
they will go a step further. That's for sure. I mean, I hope they maintain that same unit. Understand with the players, and the oldest out of them is 25-year-old.
Shy.
So, I mean, what more can you say? I hope they stay ambitious. They don't lose their grip. They tell themselves, okay, we went this far, the previous season. Now next season, let's take it a step further.
further.
And like I said, maintaining that same unit of players.
Yeah.
You said they've traded what's it called, George.
Josh,
Yes, so, but it's okay. Maybe get few more players, but not the player that will come and destroy that chemistry.
Yeah, what's the idea?
I hope OKC. I'm looking forward to watching them next season and definitely telling myself these guys just take a step further. I might not really put that permit me to use what every burden. Go and win go and bring the ring, but let them take a step further.
Okay.
But OKC, I am super impressed.
I mean, that's quite That's quite impressive right there. But just to add to what he said, the Western Conference, it's not like the Eastern Conference where you had like 2 or 3 or 3.
Yeah.
With the Eastern Conference, is more intense than the Eastern Conference,
yeah.
and OKC finished the first seeded in the Western Conference, right? They had the best record, and they were the youngest team to do that in as many years. Probably wasn't born
That was impressive.
the last time it happened. You understand? And they did that with Shy. They did that with Holmgren, who finished number two in the Rookie of the Year ranking. They did that with Josh Giddey, who has been traded to Chicago. Now they brought in Alex Caruso. You said something. You said they need to add people.
Yeah.
And Alex Caruso, in all fairness,
He's a dog.
he's a dog
Caruso is-
defensively.
Caruso is
You understand? He's done it in Lakers.
yeah,
Part of the team that won the NBA.
right.
He's done it at Chicago. Yes, they didn't win the NBA championship, but
And he's barely stayed on the court. as well.
he's barely still on the court. But now, now they've got that, that experienced player, and now he's teaming up with his former manager, Mike Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they played in like 2017 together. So I think he's going to bring something to that team. And with what they have now, I mean, taking out Josh Giddey is not going to be it's not going to be much of a problem because they're now bringing in an early defensive monster in Alex Caruso. So I think, like you said, we expect them to take it a step
It's step for that.
for them.
Michael Portas
Oh, Peter Jr.
Gordon. Take those two out of that team. Do you think they will be as good as they are right
Trust me. Let me just
now? A lot
one
of
thing.
people not mentioning these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
they're like
people
your
listen.
song yeah.
I mean, just take these two guys out of that team.
So-
Do you think they will be as dominant as they are right now?
So I said something at the start when I was talking about Milwaukee Bucks. I said what made them successful was the fact that there was the five man that would start the starters. They had everything. The ones that can defend, the ones that can shoot, the ones that can do guard. When they do pick and roll and all that, they had it. Look at Denver Nuggets. What made them successful? I know we could say, oh,
Nikola Jokic.
Joker, yes, Jamamuro. But trust me, Porter Jr. was equally impressive. Aaron Gordon, AG, who they traded from Orlando Magic. I think he was maybe number one or number two pick when he got traded. He is also defensively solid. When they knocked out the Lakers in the Western Conference Final, when they completely swept the Lakers, Jokic was not the best player. Demar was not the best player.
Absolutely.
Bro, it was the likes of AG, Aaron Gordon, and Porter Jr.
Yes.
So these guys, if you take them out of the team, Denver Nuggets would end up being like Milwaukee Bucks when you take out Drew Holiday.
Yes, but the fact about it or the truth about it is that a good franchise doesn't consist of two players.
That's just it.
Yes.
That's just
So
it.
even Denver Nuggets, they know, right? That's okay. Yeah, minus Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray from the equation. Trust me, they still have good players
Absolutely.
that can make up that team. And I'll be surprised if they, of course we know Jokic is not going anywhere. We all know
Definitely
Jamal Murray is
not.
going anywhere. I'll be surprised if they try to change that roster because they know how important it is to have that team together.
core.
I was talking about OKC, the other time, and I'm saying maintain that unit.
Yeah.
Maintain that unit. Don't break it. If it's not
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah.
So yeah, so for Denver Nuggets, when we wax lyrical about the Joker about Jamal Murray,
Yeah.
trust me that there are these guys behind there that are doing the work.
And trust me, they don't even need the spotlight.
They are doing the work, yeah.
They just go to the courts every night,
Their job.
do their job,
Yeah.
and go out. But trust me, Joker, many times he name check these guys as very important pieces.
They know. It's very important.
Now going to Philly.
Yeah.
Do you think with the inclusion of
Paul George.
Okay.
with what they have right now, Tyrese Maxey,
Imagine.
It's amazing.
that
Yeah.
he's been growing over the years. Don't
He's
you
doing well for
think
himself.
adding Paul George to that team would destroy his progress? I'm talking about Tyrese Maxey.
For Tyrese, yeah, I would say he's done well for himself. Last season he showed the world what he's made of. But I don't think a Paul George will hinder his progress. The reason is the Philadelphia
Of course, they
76ers.
don't have big names.
Yes,
They have a certain Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And they have a certain Paul George.
The problem for me,
But please,
Okay.
the funniest part is that none of these guys,
Yeah. Very much championship.
that's the sad thing.
there will be I just feel there will be an issue.
The biggest issue for me is Embiid staying fit.
Yeah.
That's for me. When I look
Yeah.
at the 76ers, and I tell myself, I mean, as much as they need Embiid, in as much as there's Tyrese, nowadays Paul George, I mean, Embiid just need to stay healthy. That's just it for me. I don't think Paul George coming there, he saw what Maxey did last season.
Yeah.
And he knows that he's coming into a franchise that consists of Joel Embiid
Yeah.
and Tyrese, like solid two. So me joining that unit, I want to come and support, help, and let's build together. And like you mentioned, we have not. They tell themselves we are not won the ring before. Like that's another motivation. So these guys can be ambitious, but for me, how long, or how many games can Joel
Embiid. So let me just add to what Matula said. So for Philadelphia 76ers, one of the best things they've done, in the past 2 years was acquiring Nick Nurse. The manager who won the championship with Toronto Raptors.
That's true.
That's championship mentality right there. When he came, they did so well in the first 17, 18 games. I think they were one or number 2 seeded in the Eastern at that time. Then unfortunately, the MVP, Joel Embiid, got injured, and they didn't just crumble immediately. You understand? Tyrese Maxey stepped up. Tyrese Maxey stepped up big time.
Yeah.
It was just that good that he made it to the All-Star weekend.
Yes.
Right? So he did really well. But when push came to shove, they decided to. And why? Because Tyrese Maxey could not do it. He could not deliver 35 points every night. He was doing it. But it got to a point that he needed support.
Yeah.
Now with the acquisition of PG-13,
Yeah,
they have not just an early scorer. They've also got an OG. They've got someone who can actually step up, with or without Joel Embiid. And let's get something right. Joel Embiid is not an injury-prone player.
Yeah.
It was just last season that he unfortunately had that terrible meniscus injury, right? And they've also added Drummond. He is an elite rebounder, right? So that team is looking like a good team. Plus, the manager, the head coach, Nick Nurse. So what he did with Toronto Raptors.
They did something there.
Yes, they are building something right
And
there.
before we go,
All right.
I just want us to touch on the emergence of Tyrese Haliburton right now.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, what can you say about this guy? Because when I see him, I see another, CP3. And right now, he's everywhere.
I mean, so for this Haliburton, I mean, you can sometimes you get a lot of praises and you feel like you've said more than enough for him.
Yeah.
And he's doing well with his team.
Yeah. Indiana Pacers.
They had to play.
It reminds me of a certain Victor Oladipo.
That's a lot.
I mean, you could compare him to many players because they've done well he's done well for himself. And yeah, I remember playing that the inaugural what's it called, NBA Cup, and one part of me wanted Haliburton to win it because I felt like this guy has done well for himself. But hey, I had to stick with my Lakers. But for Haliburton, the sky's the starting point. In my opinion, I hope he continues. And the most important thing is stay healthy. We know we see the talent, we see the potential. He is in a good team where the whole team is balanced right now. It feels like he's the one leading that troops. So for Haliburton, I just hope he stays healthy, and he is a super talented.
So for Tyrese, the fear with NBA for the past or in NBA for the past 6 years was when this OG leaves,
Who takes
over? Who takes the baton? Because we've seen the likes of Steph Curry dominates for a long period of time and still dominating. LeBron James, year 21, age 39, is still here. KD, still here, and all of that. So the last season gave us like a new dimension, like a
chapter.
Yes, okay, these guys, and that's if we're going to list out the players, the next big things. When we talk about Anthony Edwards, we talk about Tyrese Maxey. We'll definitely not leave out Tyrese Haliburton, who is own favorite, fans favorite. I saw the NBA Cup that was played in Indiana. He did really well. But what I would say is, like you touched on, being healthy. We saw the Eastern Conference Finals when he was out. It was really sad for them. They really missed him. So, but the sky is the starting point, obviously.